Are you someone who struggles with a mind that is always telling you that you can't achieve something? You just can't do it? Are you? Hey everyone, so if you're on, please say hello. If you're watching live, give me a wave, give me a thumbs up. Lets me know that you're there. And if you've got any questions, please post them below in the comments. And if I see them, I will be able to answer them as we go along. I'd love for you to join me. And if you've got any topics that you'd like me to cover in the future weeks, please write them below as well. Allows me to help you and actually present on the topics that are going to make you move closer to your goals. Alrighty, so are you someone that is always telling yourself that you'll never lose weight because you're a failure? You'll never achieve the results because you can't stick to anything. So this negative self-talk that you're consistently and constantly telling yourself, it really does affect your mindset. And if you continue to do it, it will hold you back. Alrighty, so we all know the little voices that we have in our heads, and everyone has them, those little voices that pop up, and they can either be a negative voice or a positive voice. So think about the angel and the devil on each shoulder in that sense. So the devil would be saying, no, you can't do this. You'll never achieve anything. You'll never amount to anything, that type of thing, as opposed to the angel that is supporting you, that's guiding you, that's always encouraging you. Alrighty, now both of these voices are super powerful, and they can both serve us in different ways. Alrighty, and these voices are going to be going to stem from past experiences that we may have had. Alrighty, so I want to show you a different perspective here around that negative voice or that negative self-talk that's continually happening for you. Alrighty, so if we can think of the negative self-talk as the little voice that's actually there protecting you, alrighty, and is actually there to serve you, because it's looking back on all your past experiences, analyzing them, and saying to you, this is not good. You know what happened before. It didn't go so well, and I need to protect you from this. We can't let you do this again. Hey Matt, thanks for joining me. How you doing? So this negative self-talk isn't necessarily bad in that sense, and it's not there to, or not trying to cause you harm. By all means, not in a malicious way. It can be there to actually help you and protect you, and it's there to serve you based on things that have happened in the past. Alrighty, because your positive self-talk, so that voice that is there saying, you got this, you can achieve anything, that really encouraging voice, that also is based on past experiences as well. So as I mentioned, both of these voices serve a purpose, and which one you actually listen to and why you listen to it will actually determine the outcome. Alrighty, so the voices are based on your past, and your past writes your destiny. However, we can always change, and we have the power to change how we're going to move forward in any given situation. Alrighty, and that can be super empowering for you in that sense. So your past has huge influences on how you think, how you act, how you behave, about yourself, about others, about the situations you find yourself in, and the people that have been a part of your past as well. So things like trauma are going to affect us and affect the way that we then deal with things going forward. And trauma can look, it comes in many forms and it can look different to every person. And we've all been through some sort of trauma within our lives. Alrighty, so something that we've found traumatic. Okay, so bullying is another big one that I can almost guarantee that everyone has experienced some form of bullying in their life. I know I was bullied in high school. Usually, it comes from, either primary school or high school. But it can also come from, more recent relationships or people that are close to you as well, so their language and the way that they then treat you can create and have an impact on your life by creating a story in your mind that you are then led to believe. Alrighty, and you continue to believe that because they are continually telling you or saying to you that you won't achieve anything or you can't do that type of thing. And if you're being put down constantly, so, that those voices then eventually start to take a hold of you and you start to believe them and you start to believe that repetitive voice. Alrighty, so they're just a few examples of where that negative self-talk can really inflate. Alrighty, now the important part here, what we can actually do about it. Alrighty, so remembering the past is the past and it's in the past. And however, yes, it most certainly does shape us for the future, but we can't actually change that now. Yet what we can do is we can learn from it and actually empower ourselves in that learning from it and acknowledging it and recognizing it to choose a different path going forward. Alrighty, so for example, if you were treated badly by someone and you finally stood up for yourself, so that is a bad experience. But however, what we can do is actually look on that experience as if you've stood up for yourself, you've found the courage to actually, defend yourself and speak up around it. So, we can look at those attributes as hugely positive, influencing attributes in that sense. So you've used courage from within yourself to actually stand up for yourself. Alrighty. So what we can also do is identify the negative self-talk and exactly where it's coming from. Alrighty, so actually recognizing it as negative self-talk and becoming aware of it is a really important first step. So some of those voices that are saying, I'm not good enough, I'm a failure, I can't make it work, these are little, that negative self-talk, those stories that go round and round in our head all of the time. So ask yourself, where exactly are they coming from? Is it something that you've heard, repetitively from someone else that you're now just starting to believe that? And actually ask yourself, why is it wanting to protect me? So look back in history and see where in your past, that you've experienced a similar scenario or situation where something hasn't actually turned out favorably for you. Alrighty, and then your negative self-talk is now popping up to actually protect you. So just acknowledging where it's coming from can actually put you in a better frame of mind straight away. And understanding something can actually help to shift that mindset going forward. And actually really give yourself that power and that empowering feeling of moving forward and choosing to go in a different direction. So number 2 here is looking at a situation and ask yourself, is this self-talk actually warranted? So for example, you may have, touched a hot saucepan on the stove, alrighty, and burnt your hand in the past. So your negative self-talk is actually saying to you, hey, don't touch that. You know exactly what happened in the past. You burnt yourself, so in that instance, your negative self-talk is actually really serving you and it's there protecting you, not wanting you to make that same mistake. Number 3, ask yourself, is it rational? Alrighty, or sorry, is it irrational? So, for example, you may have had a partner in the past that's actually really hurt you. So your negative self-talk then begins to say, when you're trying to meet new people, oh, I'm never going to have another partner again. I'm never going to trust anybody again. So there's actually no rationale, logical rationale behind that as such, because each and every person is different. And although, yes, you may have had a negative experience in the past, actually listening to that negative self-talk is going to hold you back from actually enjoying, something moving forward with somebody else. Alrighty, so we need to look at each scenario on an individual merit. And then that negative self-talk, by all means, again, is popping up to actually protect you by saying this is what has happened in the past. However, we can also empower ourselves by actually asking, okay, well, what happened? What were the steps that kind of happened through that past relationship that I can then actually make changes so that those things don't happen again? So again, we want to look for the things that we can control. Like, we can't control anyone else's actions or, a potential partner as such. However, we can control the actions and the behaviors of ourselves to avoid, getting into that same or a similar type of situation. Alrighty. So, again, we have the power to change the outcome there. Alrighty. So number 4, paying attention to who you're listening to. So a lot of the time, the negative self-talk can be a repetition of the people around you. So if someone is, someone close to you is constantly putting you down or constantly saying that you'll never succeed, then, those consistent and constant comments that you may have heard can be reverberated in your own negative self-talk. Like, you start to believe that story. Alrighty, so what we can do in this sense is actually look at who we're exposing ourselves to. Alrighty, and we can actually change the people around us to include more positive influences over ourselves in that sense. So creating a new positive circle of influence. And that in that space, that's going to help you to really enhance, begin or continue your positive self-talk towards yourself. So remember, we are the average of the 5 people that we spend the most amount of time with. So knowing that, be really careful about the people that you actually let into your inner circle. Are they people that are encouraging? Are they people that are supportive of you and of your dreams and what you'd like to achieve? Alrighty, so moving on to number 5. Got a bit of an itchy eye. Alrighty, acknowledge and thank your self-talk. So, going with this theory here that your self-talk, your negative self-talk is there to protect you, actually acknowledge it and thank it. So constantly wanting or trying to fight it is only just going to increase your anxiety and increase those feelings of overwhelm, alrighty? Because no one likes negative confrontation, and even within yourself. So instead, let's turn it around and actually thank that little negative voice inside your head and, acknowledge that it's there and say, thank you so much for looking out for me. Thank you for helping me. Thank you for trying to protect you. But, I've got this and I want to make a change and I want to go in a different direction and I can do this. And by doing that, what we're actually giving permission for that negative self-talk to help us and protect us again in the future. If anything else comes up, that little voice might be there again, just as a protective measure. Alrighty, so we're acknowledging and thanking it for being there. And talking about then giving permission, it's really important, to give yourself permission then to act differently. It's going into number 6. A lot of the times our ego mind, that little voice inside of our head is saying, well, this is what you always do, so you have to do this again. Like, that's that little voice inside of our head that wants to keep us in this space of being comfortable. Like, it might not be a nice space, however, it's familiar to us. So because it's familiar, it becomes comfortable for us. So stepping out of that comfort zone is actually really scary because we don't know what's going to happen. So it becomes, something that is, as I say, really scary. So give yourself the permission to be able to try new things and do new things that are going to serve you. Alrighty, because remembering, if you always do the same thing, then you're always going to have the same outcome. So if you really, really don't like the outcome, then let's look at changing your behaviors and your actions leading up to that so that we can get a different outcome. And a lot of the time, it's probably going to be an outcome that's better serving you in that space. So, like, these things may have served you in the past, but it's okay to make new choices and move in a different direction. And when you actually give yourself that permission, you change your mindset in that space, and it just becomes really empowering and really, like, when you can say to yourself, it's okay if I make a different decision this time, then it just actually makes you feel really good. Talking from personal experience, it makes you feel really good. It makes you feel really empowered. That you're able to do that, and you're changing the direction of your life in that area. Alrighty, and then moving on to number 7. So what lessons, ask yourself, what lessons can we learn from this? So from that negative self-talk, what lessons can we actually learn? And here's some questions that I want you to ask yourself here. So what can I learn from my past? What can I do differently if I'm facing the same experience? And how can I turn that negative situation into a more positive one to have a more positive outcome? So your answers to those questions are then going to guide your direction for your future. So also think of all the roadblocks that are going to come up for you, and actually think of ways that you can then conquer those roadblocks. Now, I do this with my team when it comes to goal setting. I actually get my team to write down the roadblocks that are going to come up, against the goal that they want to achieve. So by doing this, we're actually already acknowledging a couple of the things that may happen. And then underneath, what I get them to write down is how they're going to actually overcome and conquer these roadblocks. So that already sets them up for success in that sense. So if something happens, they know exactly, they've kind of planned or have an idea that it may happen, and they've already given themselves a way that they can conquer and move around that roadblock. So that in itself is really empowering and gives them the strength then to be able to overcome that, because we've already talked about it, we've already addressed it, so we know it may happen, and this is what we're going to do instead. Alrighty, so I want to actually give you, a specific conversation that you might actually have in your head, just so that you can really understand, where I'm trying to go with this, and to really give you a good idea around what could happen, and then give you the solution and how you can then actually overcome it and create a positive outcome and a positive response to that negative self-talk. Because as I mentioned before, we all have negative self-talk. I know I do. My little negative, devil pops his little head up all the time. So we all experience it. So if I can, give you a real example that's really relatable to you, then it's going to make a lot more sense, and it's going to be understandable, which is awesome. Alrighty, so I'm going to read off my notes here. And this is a conversation you might have in your own head. So the little negative self-talk, the little devil will pop his head up and say, "You'll never lose weight. You've tried so many diets and have never changed. you always crumble. You have no willpower. You won't make it, so don't bother trying again. And, so a lot of the time when we hear those voices come up and tell us that, we actually stop, we listen, and we actually believe it, and we do give up. However, I want to empower you and be able to give you the tools to overcome that little voice. So what you might say in response to your negative self-talk, and this is going to give you back your power in that space, is thank you for your concern, negative self-talk, and thank you for trying to protect me from more disappointment. But I've got this. I can do it. I will try this new thing, because if I don't try, then I'll stay exactly where I am. So I'll stay exactly in the same spot, and I won't lose weight if I stay exactly the same. Yet if I try this new thing, then I might. So straight away, that is going to be giving you more power. So you're thanking, you're acknowledging the negative self-talk, yet you're then changing the direction of the outcome by then not believing the story or believing what your mind is telling you. So remember, our mind can tell us a lot of things. However, we don't have to listen, and we can choose not to believe it. So as I say, it's how we want to then direct the conversation as to then how the outcome is going to be. And we have the power to then change that direction. So start talking to yourself in a completely different way, using some of the strategies that I've given you today. And let's see then how your life can change, and how much more empowering that you're going to be and going to become. Alrighty guys, so if you found value in what I've presented today, please comment below. I'd love for you to hit that heart button. Just lets me know that this type of stuff is resonating with you and it's actually helping you to move forward. So #replay if you're watching this video on replay. And as I mentioned before, if you've got any topics that you'd like me to present on, I would love for you to comment below so that I'm able to actually present on things that are going to help you to move closer to the goals and the results that you want to achieve. Alrighty guys, I hope you have the best Thursday. See ya.